Wow. All right, so I don't need to give this talk. You're all experts. It's cool. All right, this is a fire talk. You don't really care who I am. I blog at Stripped in His Life. GitHub is Beckstead N. So let's talk about the IP command. First off, there's some arguments that are just kind of, can be used anywhere. So a few of these examples, so right after you type IP, you can do -4 to only show IP4 addresses, because we don't really care about IPv6. That's not a thing, really. You can also use -O to print each entry on a single line, which is really nice for writing scripts and stuff. You don't have to parse through like 4 different lines for the same interface. Then -R, which is kind of a unique case. You probably won't need it a lot, but if you want to, you can have it resolve the IP addresses that it prints out. There's some also basic output features, I guess. So -D prints out more details, and -BR is kind of the opposite. It just does a very brief, the most important info for that command. And -C prints out in color, which I just learned like 20 minutes ago, and it's awesome. It's super bright colors too. It's basically Party Parrot, so we'll see that in a couple slides. So first off, IPA, of course. So there's A is actually short for ADDR, which is short for address. You can type any of those, and it'll know what command you want. You can also limit by doing dev and then whatever interface you want. So like, I know I only want to know the IP address of my ETH0 interface, so I can only print out that using show dev ETH0. And you can also print out multiples that match a certain regex, kind of regex is like shell regex, so star is anything. Or I think you can do ranges too. So you can do like ETH star and only get my hardwired internet connections rather than just like Ethernet, wireless, whatever. So here's a few examples. This is the basic IP space A. You've probably all seen it before, hopefully. Here it is with only the IPv4 addresses, which really closes down, and you'll see a little less info that you don't need. Here it is printing on a single line, which is easier if you're writing strips and you're going line by line for something. And here's the brief, which I should probably just alias IPA to this, because really I'm only looking for the IP address most of the time. And this prints it out super nice. You see it right away for every interface. Here it is in color, like I said. And it highlights only the important things, so like the MAC address and the IP address. It's brilliant. Next thing, ARP. And this is why I made this presentation, is because I was reading about ARP to do a thing for audit, and one of the blog posts, or like one like forum answer, used IP-nay SS del something. I was like, whoa, IP can do ARP stuff. I don't have to use the ARP command. So here it is. Like I said, it's IP-nay, which is short for neighbor. I guess the full length of it is actually like the British spelling with an O-U-R. But if you type N, anything from N to the R, so you can do like NEI, and it'll know what you're talking about and print out the ARP information. You can also limit by interface, of course, and you can add ARP entry using the add command, and then do a link layer address, which is your MAC address for a certain interface. So here's what that looks like. So this is my basic ARP table for an EC2 instance, which doesn't have a whole lot in it. Next up, interfaces, which we'd use a lot with IF down, IF up for switching your interfaces on and off. So we're going to learn about how to do that with the IP command. Here you go. So that noun, I guess you could call it, is link. So you can say IP link set this interface up or down, which is super easy, pretty memorable. You can also set certain options for that interface, like ARP, multicast, basically everything you need. IP is crazy command, has a ton of functionality. So this is just one example, and the docs are super helpful. You also turn on like promiscuous mode if you want to see every packet, not just the ones addressed for you. finally, let's talk about routes. So you can do IP route show to show all of your routes, and you can change the default route if you want to change your gateway just for fun. You can do that just by adding the IP address for whatever interface. And while we're at it, we can talk about like the opposites of add. So you can do add, del, or delete, and replace to get rid of other entries or just replace them. And finally, a super cool one is IP route get and then an IP address. But you can also do this little $ parentheses in the dig to get that IP address. And it'll show you which interface that IP will take, or like what route it'll take. So if you're like testing, I want to go to this interface, or I want to go to this IP, but I'm not sure if my routes are set up correctly, you can do IP route get that IP, and it'll show you which interface it'll go out of. So here it is. Here's the routing table for my EC2. Here it is. If I wanted to go to ritsec.club, it would say, we're going to 192.64, whatever, via this interface, which is ETH0. And that's it. Maybe next time we'll do awk, which is also a super helpful command. It looks crazy when you're actually doing it, but it's pretty simple and it does some cool stuff. Any questions? Awesome. Use the IP command, not ifconfig. Thank you.